beat-em-ups never really died. They just hit the gym, got a makeover, and came back swinging harder than ever. If you grew up button-mashing Final Fight at the arcade, or just discovered the chaos with TMNT Shredder's Revenge, 2025 is stacked with modern brawlers that keep the side-scrolling spirit alive. We're talking flashy new roguelike mashups to revamped classics that punch harder than nostalgia. Here are 10 of the best modern beat-em-ups you need to play this year. Grab your co-op buddy and let's throw some pixelated punches. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World the Game. Let's rewind to a cult classic that refuses to stay buried. Back in 2010, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World the Game hit Xbox 360 and PS3 only to disappear in 2014 thanks to licensing woes. But it bounced back with a shiny, complete edition in 2021, giving us a second chance to mash buttons with Scott, Ramona, Kim, Steven, and even the unlockable Nega Scott. I still remember firing it up again after the re-release, and realizing how much I'd missed that pixel-perfect chaos. The game follows the bones of Brian Lee O'Malley's graphic novels. Fight your way through 7 levels to take down Ramona's 7 evil exes. The characters level up with new moves, and the brawlers have clever RPG-light touches like shops, stat boosts, and to-go food items that auto-revive you when things get ugly. Multiplayer is where it sings, reviving friends with coins, tossing each other health, or taunting in sync for bonus flair. Behind the scenes, Ubisoft Montreal and Chengdu handled development, with Paul Robertson's legendary pixel art and Anna Managuchi's chiptune soundtrack tying it all together. It's on Switch, PS4, Xbox One, PC, and even Stadia, RIP, still worth every revisit in 2025. Treachery in Beatdown City. If Scott Pilgrim felt like a gentle breeze to pixel brawling, Treachery in Beatdown City is more like a sharp jab at society wrapped in tactical combat. Released in March 2020 for Switch and Windows, it came from New Challenger and Hurricane Works after a long indie development journey. And honestly, I remember thinking it was one of the few beat-em-ups that actually tried something risky. The setup is almost parody. The president gets kidnapped by ninjas, the mayor shrugs, and suddenly it's up to 3 scrappy street fighters to step in. Where things get wild is the combat. Instead of just button mashing your way through cops, hipsters and racists, you juggle action points and fight points in a system that feels closer to Fallout's VATS than Double Dragon. You pause, cue attacks and build combos strategically, then unleash them for satisfying results. It's beat-em-up DNA fused with turn-based tactics, which sounds bizarre until you actually play it. Sean Alexander. Alan led the design, pulling inspiration from NES classics, Bruce Lee films, and even satirical movies like Sorry to Bother You. The humor is sharp, sometimes divisive, but that's part of its bite. Even in 2025, it's a refreshing curveball in the genre. Double Dragon Gaiden Rise of the Dragons. Jumping from indie satire to a legendary franchise, here's one that surprised me by actually reviving a classic name in style. Double Dragon Gaiden Rise of the Dragons, launched in July 2023 from Secret Base and Modus Games, works as both a prequel and a fresh spin-off to the series. Honestly, when I first tried it, the roguelike flavor caught me off guard, but it works. The setup is classic 90s post-apocalypse. New York is overrun by 4 crime syndicates, and Billy, Jimmy, Marion, and Uncle Matin step in to clean house. You tackle each gang in any order, but here's the thing. Every time you take one down, the others grow stronger. That risk-reward structure makes replays way more intense than just going level by level. Gameplay gives you tag team brawling, with 2 characters per player and the ability to swap mid-fight. There are 13 unlockable characters, including series staples like a Bobo and Machine Gun Willie, plus token-based progression where your cash can either upgrade fighters or unlock concept art, music, and secret characters. In 2024, the free Sacred Reunion expansion added online multiplayer, survival mode, and 3 more fighters. With it available on Switch, PlayStation, Xbox, and PC, this is the most replayable Double Dragon in years, and one I'd recommend firing up if you haven't yet. Streets of Rage 4. If Double Dragon Gaiden showed how to reimagine a franchise, Streets of Rage 4 proved you could drag a 90s brawler straight into the modern day and not miss a beat. Developed by Dotemu, Lizard Cube, and Guard Crush Game, it dropped in 2020 across Switch, PlayStation, Xbox, and PC, later hitting mobile and even Stadia. By April 2021, it had already sold 2.5 million copies, so clearly it struck a chord. The story picks up 10 years after Streets of Rage 3. Wood Oak City is in trouble again, this time thanks to the Y twins, children of the late Mr. X Axel, Blaze, Adam's daughter Cherry, and cyber-enhanced rookie Floyd step up to clean house. The story's simple but effective, giving just enough backdrop to keep those fists swinging. Classic combos are still here, but new mechanics add depth. You can burn health on special moves and earn it back if you land follow-up attacks, plus flashy star moves that clear crowds in style. You'll love the wall juggles and new combo system. It rewards creativity, not just mashing. Add in unlockable retro characters, a killer Mr. X Nightmare DLC with new fighters like Estelle, and multiple challenge modes. And Streets of Rage 4 remains a must-play even in 2025. Honestly, it's the gold standard for modern beat-em-ups.
Hey, we didn't agree to that!
Get in, dummy. We've been watching you, sis. You really screwed up this time.
River City Girls 2. Following all the chaos of Wood Oak City, let's jump to something that is high school drama with over-the-top brawling. River City Girls 2, released in December 2022 on every major platform, and later on mobile in 2024, brings back Kyoko and Misako for another round of fists-first problem-solving. WayForward developed it with Arc System Works Publishing, and honestly, I couldn't resist diving back in. Especially since Kunio and Ricky joined the roster this time. A new threat shows up in River City, and the girls, with backup from their boyfriends, decide to sort it out the old-fashioned way, by punching their way through gangs, bosses, and eccentric weirdos. The writing keeps the tongue-in-cheek humor that made the first game so fun, leaning into self-aware dialogue and goofy cutscenes. Combat starts simple, but as you unlock more moves, the combos open up into deep, flashy chains. The characters feel distinct, and the expanded roster means you're not locked into the same pair. Exploration has some light RPG flavor, with shops, upgrades, and side content sprinkled across interconnected areas of the city. It was praised for its animation, music, and personality, though some found the backtracking a little grindy. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. Few modern beat-em-ups have nailed the retro revival vibe as perfectly as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. Released in 2022, this tribute games and Dotemu collaboration feels like a lost arcade classic from the 90s, but with just enough modern polish to make it feel fresh. Inspired by the 1987 cartoon and Konami's legendary Turtles arcade games, it lets you brawl across New York, Dimension X and beyond with a roster that includes not just the 4 Turtles, but also April, Splinter and the fan favourite Casey Jones. Gameplay is fast, chaotic and deliciously nostalgic. Pizza still fuels your health, naturally, but this time you've also got special pies that supercharge your attacks. The game offers both an old-school arcade mode, where you've got limited lives and no saves, and a more flexible story mode that lets you upgrade moves, find collectibles, and tackle optional challenges. Best of all, it supports up to 6-player co-op, both online and local. It's pizza-fueled mayhem at its finest. The game was an instant hit, selling over 1 million copies in its first week. Critics loved the pixel art, soundtrack, with bangers from T-Lopes and even Wu-Tang Clan legends, and overall faithfulness to the franchise. Add in DLC expansions like Dimension Shell Shock and Radical Reptiles, and Shredder's Revenge remains the gold standard for retro-style brawlers.
Тебе нужен. Бери меня.
Mother Russia bleeds. If Streets of Rage is retro Saturday morning cartoon energy, then Mother Russia Bleeds is the ugly, violent after-hours version. Released in 2016 by Le Cartel Studio and published by Devolver Digital, this brutal side-scrolling brawler is set in an alternate 1980s Soviet Union where the mafia and government are in bed together, and you're just the unlucky test subjects caught in the middle. You play as one of 4 Ruska Romani street fighters, Sergei, Natasha, Ivan or Boris, who've been kidnapped and pumped full of a horrifying drug called Necro. That's not just flavor text. Necro is the core gameplay gimmick. Kill an enemy, stick a syringe in their twitching corpse, and you've got a choice. Duel, heal yourself or go berserk mode, trading sanity for speed and bone-crunching power. It's gnarly, it's grotesque, and it absolutely sets this game apart from cleaner beat-em-ups. The campaign drags you through sewers, riots, nightclubs, and government fortresses, drenched in blood and hallucinatory nightmare fuel. It supports up to 4-player local co-op and includes arcade, survival, and boss rush modes. Critics compared it to Double Dragon on a bad trip. Raw, stylish, and unapologetically violent. If you want your brawlers dirty and unfiltered, Mother Russia Bleeds delivers in spades. Fight and Rage. Compared to the more modern big-budget beat-em-ups we've looked at, Fight and Rage is proof that a solo developer can still shake up the genre. Built by Ciba Games Dev in 2017, this indie darling fuses retro arcade energy with surprisingly deep fighting game mechanics, and it's playable today on just about everything: PC, Switch, PlayStation, and Xbox. The plot drops you into a world where humans are at war with mutants, a society of anthropomorphic animals rising against their former oppressors. You pick one of 3 heroes: Gal, a martial artist; F. Norris, a speedy ninja type; or Ricardo, a hulking minotaur wrestler, and fight your way through branching routes, making choices that actually affect which levels you see and which of the 8 endings you unlock. I remember my first run going totally sideways because I stumbled into the bad ending path, and honestly, that gave me even more incentive to replay. Gameplay-wise, this one's all about fluidity. You can dash, parry, juggle enemies into absurd combos, and pull off specials that either drain health or use a meter. Beyond the arcade campaign, there's survival, score attack, time attack, and even a one-on-one battle mode. For fans of experimentation, you can even unlock nearly every enemy as a playable character. It's old school at heart, but flexible enough to keep you coming back for run after run. Castle Crashers. Few beat-em-ups have managed to stay as beloved for over 15 years as Castle Crashers, and it's easy to see why. Released in 2008 by the Behemoth, this colourful, chaotic brawler took the classic side-scrolling formula and spiced it up with RPG mechanics, absurd humour, and 4-player co-op that could turn friendships into rivalries in seconds. Whether you first played it on Xbox 360, later on PlayStation or Switch, or grabbed the remastered edition, it remains one of the best party-ready beat-em-ups out there. The setup is hilarious. A dark wizard steals a giant crystal, kidnaps 4 princesses, and wrecks a perfectly good castle party. Naturally, 4 knights are sent to bash their way through armies of conehead soldiers, pirates, ninjas, monsters, and even aliens from Alien Hominid to get everything back. Along the way, you level up, learn new combos, and discover an arsenal of weapons and animal orbs that grant quirky bonuses. Of course, the real magic of Castle Crashers is in the mayhem with friends. Co-op lets you fight side by side, but every time you rescue a princess, you're forced to duel each other for a kiss. It's part brawler, part comedy show, and still one of the funniest, most replayable beat-em-ups ever made. Absolum. If you loved Streets of Rage 4, but wished it had a little more chaos, Absolum might be your next obsession. Developed by Guard Crush Games, yep, the same crew behind SOAR 4, with Super Monks handling the art, and published by Dotemu, this October 2025 release will combine classic side-scrolling brawling with roguelike unpredictability. Think of it like Golden Axe meets Dead Cells, but with a wizard frog who surfs through the air on his scepter. The roster already looks wild. Carl the gun-slinging dwarf, Galandra the elf with a massive sword, Sidar the lightning-fast dagger wielder, and Brome the amphibious mage. The characters have light and heavy attacks, can chain combos to build mana, and unleash devastating arcana finishes. There's also a slick timing mechanic, where dodging or countering right before impact stuns your enemies, opening them up for punishment. Every run randomizes rituals, passive buffs and abilities that you collect along the way, only to lose them if you fall in battle. Permanent upgrades and inspirations, active skills earned from bosses, give that sweet long-term progression itch. Add in co-op play and branching quests, and Absolum is shaping up to be one of the most ambitious beat-em-ups in years. And that's a wrap on 10 beat-em-ups that prove the genre is still flexing in 2025. Some lean into slick modern mechanics, others keep that retro crunch we grew up loving, but they all deliver one thing in common: pure chaos and satisfaction when you land that final combo. Get busy saving princesses, brawling with mutant frogs, or just smashing thugs in dark alleys. These games make button mashing an art form again. Now go pick your fighter. The streets aren't going to clean themselves up.